All right, everybody. Hey, Jake Dixon here, the founder of The Locker Room. For those of you that don't know me, welcome. We're going to record this. And so if you're watching this live, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching the replay, because we will put this in the Locker Room University, hey, we welcome you to this. And I am super excited to be sharing this topic with you today. It's of course, one of my favorite things to be talking about. And before I get into that, I will be sharing my screen today. I'll just give you a quick rundown of who I am in the event that you don't know me. Again, Jake Dixon, founder of The Locker Room, which is a real estate coaching organization. I have been in the real estate industry for 10 plus years now. I started in new construction, working down in Northeast Florida with Lennar Homes, if anybody is familiar with Lennar. And from there, I moved back home to the Midwest, got my real estate license in Illinois, became a real estate agent doing general brokerage, hung my license with Keller Williams at the time, and then quickly became a team leader, which is essentially the CEO of an office. So I did that, had an opportunity to move the family again to North Carolina to be a CEO in an office of 300 plus agents. And then from there, I found my real passion, my real calling, which was coaching. Funny how it all comes back to coaching or sports in some way, shape, or form. And so I was a coach in an office for 3 years. And during that time, we had simultaneously been building The Locker Room. And here we sit today where we've supported over 160 brokerages with the Locker Room tools and services. And our passion unequivocally is serving what we reference as the blue ocean. Now, the blue ocean is the 97%, write that down, the 97% of NAR who currently sells 24 or fewer homes per year. So if that's you, we're coming to get you. That's our passion. That's where we have unapologetic, unwavering belief of making you and helping you be the best version of yourself that you can be. Now, the way we go about doing that is by partnering with the brokerage itself. So if you're watching this, regardless of what company affiliation you're with, and you like what we put out there, and your brokerage doesn't have us as a partner, hey, let's have a conversation. Maybe we can bridge that gap, and you can make that introduction to your leadership team. We would certainly be grateful for that. And so, what the heck does the locker room even mean? Well, naturally, you're here today because I'm going to share with you the top 5 success principles I learned from playing baseball, and we'll get into all that here in a minute. But the locker room itself, when I was kind of vision casting and knowing what I wanted to do here to create a real estate coaching company, it's symbolic. It's symbolic in nature, right there in its name, because the locker room itself, if any of you have played sports or spent any level of time in a locker room, it's sacred ground, man. It's sacred ground. That's where the X's and O's, the game plans, the methods at halftime are readjusted so you can go win the game the second half. And it's just a symbolic meaning more than anything. The blood, sweat, and tears, the collaboration and camaraderie where teams come together. And I want to show you just something real quick. It's very timely. It popped up on my Facebook memories today. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can somebody give me a yes in the chat window if you can see my screen real quick? That would be amazing. And thank you, Brooke. And so this came up today. Losers assemble in small groups and complain about the coaches and other players. Winners assemble as a team and find ways to win. So I just thought that was very timely, and I just want to share that with you because, again, it reiterates the meaning and true definition of the Locker Room Real Estate Coaching Organization. Now, today, here's what's going to happen. I'm not here just to talk about myself, believe it or not, right? This is fun for me to talk about. All I'm going to do is share my transparent and vulnerable stories, all right? And I don't want you to hear that it's arrogant, it's full of myself, and I enjoy listening to myself talk. That's not what this is for, you guys. A lot of you might find yourself in my story. You might connect with me on one of these points I'm going to make today, and that allows you to own and define your own story. It might liberate you, in other words. So just hear it in that manner versus being more interested about Jake's background and history necessarily. I'm not here to claim that my story or experiences are more important or whatever than somebody else's, all right? It's not that special. I'm not famous, right? I'm just a normal dude, those of you that know me, okay? But it's my story, and I'm gonna own my story, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and I wanna share some of that with you guys today, all right? So I'm gonna queue up the slide that I've got for you all today. Give me one hot minute here. And we're gonna dive in. All right, can I get one more quick check for somebody to let me know that you can see my entire screen where it has the top 5 baseball success principles? Can somebody let me know if you can see this perfectly? Thank you so much, guys. All right. So this is why we're here today. Something about the title, something just about you and I's relationship led you here today. And I want you throughout this to be writing notes, or better yet, even typing in the chat window what jumps out at you, where you see yourself maybe and can relate with some of what I'm going to share with you. Here's how we're going to do this. All right. I'm going to start by getting into some defining moments. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So every one of my success principles will start with a story that was what I say as a defining moment, and then I will give the lessons and how that relates to business out of that, okay? So let's move forward. A little bit about me as far as that's concerned. I told you about my real estate experience. Now let's talk about this. Well, it all began, apparently, I don't remember this, according to my mom, when I was 5 years old. Right? And again, this is not anything different than most of you too, but began playing at 5, and I did not want to, as the story goes. My mom, to this day, still gives me crap about it because I was that kid kicking and screaming, stubborn-headed, and just did not apparently want to play baseball at all. And this was T-ball days, right? And so the way she tells the story is far better than I ever could, but it's pretty entertaining, or at least I think it is. Now, I grew up in the sticks of Illinois, surrounded by cornfields and bean fields as far as you can see. So I grew up in Oneida, Illinois, which is a town of 700 people. We don't have a stoplight. We don't have grocery stores. The gas station's now closed. So it's just a speck on the map, right? And my entire high school consisted of 5 small area towns like Oneida, all merging together, 5 little podunk towns merging together to form one high school that was called ROVA, which was an acronym. Rio, Oneida, Watauga, Victoria, and Altona, all right, kind of west central side of Illinois. And I share that with you because our entire high school had 200 students in it, 200. There was 50 in my class, all right? So some of you, maybe you grew up in a rural area as well, and you can relate with what I'm saying, and that's gonna play into some of my story that I'm gonna share today. Because guess what? Here I go in 8th grade, getting ready to go into 9th grade as a freshman, and my own school did not even have baseball as a school sport. And by then I knew pretty clearly I was pretty dang good at it, right? But my own school, my high school, didn't have baseball as a school sport. So guess what? My dad and other people within the community took it to the school board. Next thing you know, it gets voted on, it gets approved, and I find myself in the cornfield across from our school parking lot, digging up dirt, creating a baseball field out of a former cornfield. But before that, my family, knowing how serious and talented I was in the game, was strongly considering moving to like Bloomington, Illinois, where they notoriously had a great school, but also a strong baseball program. But fortunately, we didn't have to make that move because things lined up with my own high school. But that's crazy, right? So you can see some of the highlights there on the bottom. I don't need to read those to you. That's just a soft, humble brag. But, you know, there's a little bit of my key highlights and experiences playing college and or professional baseball. So why am I taking the time to share this with you guys today over the next 45 minutes or so? Well, the way I've said it, and I'll say it a million times a day, is our life is full of defining moments. You've got them, I've got them. Sometimes we just don't pause and take the time to reflect on those enough, do we? Right? Life is happening every day so fast, and we sometimes forget to hit the pause button and just reflect and appreciate the journey and where we've come from. A lot of those moments that we might consider defining moments seem insignificant at the time. We can't even make sense of what's going on or appreciate it in the moment until one day we look backwards and say, ah, now I understand. God was testing me, or my coach was developing me in that moment, even when I just wanted to quit, right? And we're going to get into a lot of that today. And as I said before, sometimes by sharing our story, others can see themselves inside of it. So today is not the Jake Dixon show, but I'm here to share my story, and maybe, just maybe, it'll liberate you to start sharing yours as well. Just create it in the first place, because there's people that you surround yourself with who could probably benefit from knowing your story because they could see themselves inside of it too, all right? Today is about hope. It's about inspiration. It's about hard work and pursuing your dreams. And I got to tell you, this is a famous quote, but we are not a product of our circumstances, right? How's your mindset right now, especially in the COVID-19 era of the time of recording this? Are you a product of your circumstances, or are you a product of your decisions? Because it is a decision. You're one decision away. Look at the root word, decide, side, C-I-D-E means what? It means to kill off. So when I make a decision, I have literally killed off every other option, right? And so your decision, you're one decision away from greatness or making that amount of money, having that perfect significant other, whatever it is, you're just one decision away. You really are. Because now you've killed off doubt, fear, mediocrity, complacency, all of those things, because once and for all, you really, really made a decision. Check up from the neck up. How's your mindset these days? Are you acting like a victim? Or are you acting like somebody who's in control of their destiny, one decision away? Okay? It's not about what happens to us. It's about how we respond. I can't control every first thought that comes into my mind. Hey, I'm not perfect. Neither are you. But I can respond or control how I respond to that. It might take time. It might take some conditioning. And I can certainly control the second, third, and fourth thought that comes into my mind. So don't feed that negativity. Don't feed that fear. Let's starve it. Now, here's the thing. We're going to get in heavy about baseball here in a second. I love this sport. I still do, okay? Baseball, check this out. Baseball is a sport that's built on failure. You guys know this. There's people in the Hall of Fame, people earning millions and millions of dollars a year who succeed 3 out of 10 times. They succeed 3 out of 10 times. Let me say that differently. They fail 7 out of 10 times. And they're a millionaire, and they're known to be the best that's ever played this sport. I love baseball because there's so many principles and life lessons that it can teach us because it's a sport of failure. It teaches us so much about life and how to be prepared. So anyways, there's that. And it's the only sport, have you thought about this? It's the only major sport, at least, where the defense is actually the ones who are in control of the ball. Football, basketball, hockey, any other sport that requires somebody to be in control of something, that they're labeled as the offense. Well, guess what? The defense is in control of the ball in baseball. No wonder it's a game of failure, okay? All right. So what defining moments can you extract from my story today? I want you to write them down. I want you to share them in the chat window if you're joining us live. And without further ado, let's start diving in. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Let's do it. All right, so here's the thing. Success principle number 1. As I said, I'm going to start with the defining moment first. Here's the story. Defining moment number 1, some of you have heard me say this before, is my sophomore year of high school. My sophomore year of high school. Do you think as a sophomore, I knew this at the time? Heavens no. But as an adult now, I can look back and say, oh my God, that was. So here's what happened. It's the second inning of a playoff game, high school, sophomore year of baseball. And a typical Midwest storm is blowing through, right? Lightning, thunder, the whole bit. If you're from the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about. And so the umpires naturally call the game. It's too dangerous for us to stand out there with metal bats and risk getting struck by lightning. And so as they called the game, we're all scurrying around. It's pouring rain on us. And our coach is just screaming. He's yelling, saying, get the equipment up. Hurry up, guys. Get your butts into the gymnasium. So we're doing the best we can, and naturally we're a bunch of kids. We're joking around, I'm sure, and laughing too, but he was pissed. And so by the time we got into the gym, I mean, he's just ranting and raving and going on down the line and just chewing us all out. There was a moment, and here it is, guys. There was a moment that he knew my aspirations to play college or even professional baseball. Now, here's this guy who's from a town of 700 people in the middle of nowhere. Nobody has done anything athletically. We play sports, and then most of my friends and people just go work on the farm. That's just what you do. So when this moment, he put his finger right in my face in front of all my teammates. This is my head coach. And he says, verbatim, none of you will ever see the inside of a college or professional stadium unless you buy a ticket. None of you will ever see the inside of a college or professional stadium unless you buy a ticket. Those were his words. He doesn't even remember saying that, I guarantee you, but I never forgot it. Insert defining moment number one. Okay, I had a choice to make. I can let this idiot tell me what I can and can't do and be a victim and say, you know, he's probably right. After all, nobody's ever gotten scouted and recruited from here, and I'll probably just end up working on a family farm somewhere. Or I could say, no, I'm not going to let this guy tell me what I can and can't do, and I'm going to prove him wrong. So what did I do? Those of you that know me know this, but if you don't know me, I'm 6'6". I'm a big dude. From that moment forward, I stopped playing all other sports, including basketball. Now, do you think that was a popular choice in my community? And I was good. I could shoot, I could dunk, I could do the things, man. I was a good basketball player. Heck no, I'm all in. It just fueled my fire in saying, you know what, I may not end up go somewhere, but I'm not going to leave it anywhere other than in the weight room and on that playing field. I'm going all in. And my parents didn't like it, and yet they supported it. My parents are amazing, by the way. And the community sure as heck didn't like it, let alone my coaches and people that tried talking me out of not playing basketball, for example. All right? So what did I learn in this moment? Guys, I don't care how old you are. If you're a sophomore in high school or you're 60 some odd years, age doesn't matter. There's a great book called Halftime, right? Check out that book if you need to, but never, ever let someone else dictate your dreams. Just because my high school coach, and I can say this now, was a third string catcher, never amounted to much, never played, but always had the dreams to go on, I've got to believe there was something in there that he had resentment towards because of his failed career, his failed baseball path, that tried pulling somebody like mine backwards. And that's not what you would expect from a coach, is it? So just because somebody else gave up on their dreams does not give them permission to talk you out of yours. Some of you need to hear that right now. There's haters out there, man. Let those haters be your motivators. Play with a chip on your shoulder. That is success principles and DNA of a successful person. That's one of them for me. I look for people who have a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove. Somebody told them somewhere along the way that they couldn't do it, they weren't good enough, and they clung on to that and channeled that as positive energy to prove people wrong. You're my kind of person if that's you, okay? How many of us right now are letting people just pull us and drag us down on social media because you make one post and now all of a sudden somebody chimes in or somebody's chirping over here in the background, they're creating all this noise, and that one person ruins your day. That one person makes you pull back a little bit from social media, and it starts there. So now you start to get complacent and you accept things, and it's a downward spiral. Instead of focusing on the 99 other people for every one person who's going to hate on you that do care about your message, they do see you as a person of value, they do show interest in what you have to share. I'm just using social media as an example, right? But y'all know what I'm talking about. So what do you have to prove, guys? What's that? Well, how many of you have heard the Roger Bannister story, right? Guy broke the 4-minute mile. It was not supposed to be possible. 4-minute mile, nobody's ever done it. It can't be done. It's impossible. Until somebody does it. What's your 4-minute mile? What do you have to prove? What area of your life is somebody just, dogging you and saying you're not good enough? Well, let's be realistic. Jake, you need to be reasonable. What does that even mean, right? Unless you got a straight up connection with the man upstairs, I'm not sure any of us know what we're fully capable of. So in the face of adversity, to me, that was a defining moment. It was an adversity moment. What do you choose? It is a choice. It is a decision. Are you going to fold because of what one person thinks and believes? Or are you going to rise above the noise and get a little bit louder? You're going to double down, and maybe not. Nothing's guaranteed to anybody, but I can at least guarantee my attitude, my actions, and being a part of the solution instead of feeding into the doubt of it all. I love it. It was a part of my signature line in my emails for a long time is, you can advance boldly in the direction of your dreams or retreat fearfully into a world of mediocrity. That just spoke to me. Maybe it speaks to you too. So here's the thing, guys, to bring some closure on success principle number 1, which is never let somebody else dictate your dreams. What was the real gift inside that day? Now, this is a continuation. I have shared that story so many times, and it always stopped there because guess what? I've seen some pretty cool stadiums. I got a full ride baseball scholarship. I got drafted twice by major league teams, once as a hitter, once as a pitcher. I have seen some cool stadiums. Thanks, coach. But the story doesn't end there. Here's the thing. It was just a handful or so years ago that I'm driving in Garner. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was driving in Garner, North Carolina, at a stoplight right next to a McDonald's, weird, and I was listening to an audiobook, as I often do. The audiobook, write this one down, was called The Storyteller's Secret. The Storyteller's Secret. Every single one of you needs to check that book out. And it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, that was the gift in that moment on that day. It wasn't like, na-na-na-na boo-boo, ha-ha, coach, I went on and played college and professional baseball. Well, clearly I'm not playing anymore. So there was something deeper than that. And here's what it is. Here's what it was. The gift he gave me that day was this passion, this enthusiasm, this zest for life to help other people. He lit inside of me that day, he didn't know it, and I didn't even know it, this eternal flame that I am forever now just on fire, unapologetic, unwavering about helping other people achieve their greatness. That's what he gave me, because I will never be that asshole who said you can't do something. I'll get behind any goal you got as long as we can chart the course and you're willing to work, you're willing to be committed. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. All right. That was the real gift that day. I didn't see it at the time. I didn't see it for years down the road until I listened to an audiobook and then it smacked me upside the head because I've shared my baseball story at athletic banquets and so many other areas, but the story ended there. Now it continues on to say, the big man was preparing me for this. He was preparing me to lead something like the locker room, where now I can pour into other people and see the belief in them that maybe they don't currently see in themselves. But I'm not going to be that guy who says you can't do something. Can I get an amen? Okay. All right. Let's keep moving. Okay, success principle number 2. Here's the defining moment. Oh man, this one still gives me goosebumps to this day. So it was a Legion baseball game. It was the summer right before going into my senior year of high school. Again, I'm a high school kid. I don't have these deep life thoughts at the time. I'm just living life, having fun, and playing a game that I'm passionate about. But here's what happened. That summer, before my senior year, it's the middle of the season, I'm playing in Farmington, Illinois. Again, it's a speck on the map in the middle of nowhere, but I'm throwing it out there in the event that some of you know where Farmington, Illinois is, okay? It's a night game, so the lights are on for the night game. Now, before the game, I'm warming up. I happen to be pitching that night. I'm warming up in the bullpen, and there's a couple scouts over here. One of them's Dewey Calmer, who's the head coach of Bradley University, and there's a couple other smaller junior colleges there, just there to recruit me possibly to come play at their college. But then, as I'm getting finished warming up and the game's about to start, I see this other guy coming down the hill. He's got this straw hat on. If you know anything about baseball scouts, you can pick them up like that because they're always wearing this goofy stuff. And so I don't know who the hell he is. And of course, I'm not going to go introduce myself. I go about playing my game. I threw a one-hitter that game, and I hit 2 home runs in that game. All right, I had a really good game. And here's what happened. Afterwards, this guy with a straw hat on, didn't know who he was, comes up and he shakes my hand. And he introduces himself as Doug Horning. I don't know who you are. Who are you, Doug? Well, Doug Horning was a MLB scout for all 30 major league teams. He worked for the Major League Scouting Bureau. Interesting. You want to know something more, guys? Doug Horning wasn't there necessarily to see me. He didn't know who the hell I was. But check this out. He later told me what happened was he flew into Chicago from wherever he's from. He was on his way driving down somewhere towards St. Louis or something to scout a different player. He's literally driving on these back roads in Illinois. He sees a set of baseball lights on at a field, and he pulls over and he watches the game. I can't make this kind of shit up. And that was my game. He was there to see me. He wasn't, but it turns out he sure as heck was. Here's the lesson learned, you guys. I get goosebumps. You don't know who's watching. Some of you have children, and when you're in your professional pity party, you don't know if they're watching. You don't know what they're listening to when you're yelling at somebody on that phone. You never know who's watching. It only takes having the right game, whatever your game is, in front of the right person to put you on the map. I don't know if it's that $1 million listing you're after. It's that business venture that you've always dreamed of starting. It's doubling the agent count if you're a broker owner. Like whatever it is, you're having the right game in front of the right person to get you on the map. That opened up all the doors of opportunity for me. Now going into my senior year of high school, I'm not kidding, there was not a game where there wasn't at least 10 to 15 major league scouts sitting in the stands watching me. They would come at 7 o'clock in the morning and watch me hitting this Morton Shed building out in center field off of a pitching machine. They would drive from Chicago, the regional scouts, cross-checkers, national. They would all come to Oneida, Illinois, of 700 people in the middle of the sticks to watch me because of that one game in front of the right guy who recruited or scouted on behalf of all 30 major league teams. What's your opportunity? Who's watching you, and you may not even know it right now. You are sabotaging your own success, your own upward mobility inside of your company, whatever that looks like, possibly because you don't know who's watching. It's all a choice, right? What if, here, let's go backwards, and I hate to even think about this. This guy pulls over on the side of a road. What if in that same game, maybe I had an average game, or heck, maybe I still put up the same stats, 2 home runs and a 1-hitter. But what if I didn't run out 1 ground ball all the way through to first base? What if I struck out and I go back to the dugout and I'm throwing my helmet and cursing and not being a good teammate? Wow. Do you think Doug Horney would have written my name down and offered all 30 major league teams to go check this kid out? No way. He would have just checked, crossed right through my name, moving on. No way. Think about that. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. I can relate this to business. Guys, I like to make fun of myself. I've got a lot of humility here. When I joined Keller Williams at the time, and I got my start in real estate with a brokerage, not new construction, but general brokerage, my claim to fame is I've sold 1 home. You heard me. I've sold 1 home. Okay? Now, fancy this. I'm in this new agent training class the first month of joining that company. A day after I got licensed, I get my first person under contract. They were a buyer. So, hey, I'm off to a good start. But here I am, the new guy in his first 30 days who's got 1 sale pending. Well, guess what? The owner of that brokerage at the time calls me up on a weekend, like a week or 2 after I put my first deal under contract, and says, hey, Jake, I need to talk to you. This was on a voicemail. I'm like, oh, shoot. I filled out the contract wrong. I must be getting sued. What did I do? So I call her back, and she proceeds to tell me, no, calm down. It's a good thing. I've been observing your participation in class, and I have watched you on Facebook. You seem like a positive, high-energy, influential guy. I would like the opportunity for you to come in and let's talk about this team leader. In other words, the CEO opportunity that we have vacant right now. And I say, you gotta be kidding me. I'm the new guy. I've sold 1 home, kind of. It's pending, okay? And so right there, you never know who's watching. Again, I showed up. I play all in. How are you guys showing up? How you show up right here is how you show up everywhere. Do you believe that? Do you also believe that there could be sets of eyeballs, talent scouts out there who might have opportunity for you and you don't even know they're paying attention? But metaphorically speaking, they might notice that you threw your helmet down and kicked the dirt. They might notice you're not a good teammate. They might notice you didn't run out a ground ball all the way through the base and you just kind of half-assed it. What's that looking like in your life right now? Okay? Just saying. Let's go move on to number 3. Everybody doing okay out there? Y'all doing okay? I can't see the chats, but hopefully you are, and rock on. Success principle number 3, defining moment first. Arm injury. I don't know if you can see it. I've got a big old scar on my arm. I had Tommy John surgery. Right there in that picture is my best friend, Jared Incinelli. Some of you know Jared. A lot of people say we're twins, we're brothers, and he's just a one-of-a-kind guy. So arm injury led to my retirement. So this is the last picture taken when I was a professional playing minor league baseball that I have to show you. And what happened was, I remember it very distinctly. We were in Idaho Falls, Idaho on July 4th, 2006. That was my last game ever. July 4th, 2006 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Okay? So I pitched that game. Now, prior to that, I had Tommy John my junior year of college. I rehabbed for 16 months before I could even pick up a baseball again, and I came back bigger, faster, stronger than I was before. So I had 2 years where I pitched post-surgery, and that's what led me into professional baseball as a pitcher. So my very first year playing minor league baseball, July 4, 2006, is when it happened. I knew it. I'm in that game. I'm pitching. I felt the all too familiar feeling in my elbow, knowing I think I re-tore it. Crap. What do I do? And everything at an instant stopped for me because I always promised myself, my family, I just kind of knew that if I ever had to go through that kind of surgery and rehab again, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to be that guy who goes through 2 elbow surgeries and now he's a 23, 24-year-old rookie, which by the way is old if you can believe it, in minor league ball. I'm just not going to do it. And so I knew in that game that I had re-tore it because I know that feeling. It was done. And so at the end of the game, we're all on the bus. We're heading back to a hotel. I didn't really say anything to anybody at the time, but I let all my teammates get off the bus first. And I knew, because I had observed, that my coach, Tom Kochman, all-time winningest minor league coach, by the way, he would always be the last to get off the bus. So he'd let all the players get off, and then he would finally go. I knew that. So I waited also till everybody got off, and then I was the last one. I go up to Tom, and I say, Coach, can I talk to you for a second? And he just looks up at my face, pauses. He said, it's your arm, isn't it? And guys, I lost it. I lost it. I just absolutely broke down in tears right there on the spot. I said, yeah, it's my arm. And he could see I was a hot mess express. He said, Jake, gather yourself. Let's just talk tomorrow. Do what you need to do, kind of thing. So for the next, I can't even tell you, hours, I'm curled up in the fetal position over there in the corner on outside, curled up against the hotel, just thinking, what happened? What's next? What do I do? Because everything that I'd known up to that point, I was just all in with baseball. And in an instant, it was gone because I wasn't going to go through that stuff again. And so anyways, that's my defining moment leading me to success principle number 3 is what did I learn? What I learned, not necessarily in the moment, go figure, is that adversity makes you stronger. Some of you are dealing with some stuff right now, man, especially in this pandemic. Look, something like an arm injury and boo-hoo, Jake, baseball's out of your life, is nothing compared to some of what you guys are going through or some of your relatives might be going through. I get that. It's all in context. But do realize adversity makes you stronger. Are you right now choosing faith or fear? Because I got news for you. Both of them are things that you cannot see. So you better choose, and you better choose wisely what you're giving your attention and energy to. I can believe in faith. Things are going to work out. Things are going to improve. There's a reason this is happening, not just to me, but there's a reason this is happening for me. For me. Okay? So what's that look like for you? What do they say about life? Life is a series of either A, you're in chaos, B, you just left chaos, or C, you're going straight into chaos. That's life. But I'd rather lead with faith over fear, knowing I can't see both. Both are this imaginary, fictitious thing, so damn it, I'm going to do everything I can in my willpower to believe in faith. Okay? I've said it 10 times already today. You can't always make sense of why things are happening. When they happen, it's only looking back that you can connect the dots and say, I get it now. This was the gift inside of that moment. The gift inside of that moment for me was it put me on this whole entire career path. God knew I could inspire, I could coach, I could lead other people. I'm cool with that now. If I couldn't do that on a pitching mound or a baseball field somewhere, I'm at peace with that now. I wasn't then, but I am now. So maybe right now you're out there wondering, if you're an agent, why hasn't business come to me quicker? Maybe if you're brand new into the business, you've been plugging away consistently for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you're questioning, are my efforts ever going to really lead to any sort of business? You're comparing your insides to other people's outsides. You're looking at your neighbor saying, well, why is he or she successful? We got started at the same time. They've already closed 10 deals. I've closed 1. What's wrong with me? I know I'm speaking to somebody out there. And then you start asking yourself things like, maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should go find a real job. Look, I'm assuming I'm speaking to a bunch of real estate agents today. You have a real job. You're just not showing up. The difference between an amateur and a professional, I think it was Jen Taylor, somebody said it yesterday, is professionals get paid. Amateurs don't. Are you a professional at your craft? Are you putting in the blood, sweat, tears, the time, the work to get paid like a professional gets paid? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, the best in the game. Let's take Major League Baseball. These guys you see on TV making millions upon millions of dollars. You know what they do before every game? I do. They're in the batting cage tunnel below the stadium, putting a ball on a tee, hitting that hundreds of swings every single day off of a tee. And then I'm coaching kids in Little League and high school who say, oh, tee? That's for T-ball. That's for young kids. I don't do that. Oh, really? Until you're earning $1 million a year playing the sport, I suggest you do this. Okay? You have a real job. Are you doing and mastering the fundamentals? Are you consistent? Are you putting the ball on the tee every day, just taking swings, knowing that it's preparing you for a World Series championship? We're going to continue here. Clearly, everything happens for a reason if you believe in faith over fear. So guys, this is for some of you, this whole COVID thing could be a time to reflect, smell the roses, learn from your mistakes. What can you do differently next time? One of my favorite questions that I've been able to now ask myself in times of adversity, which is what this is all about, instead of poor me, why is this happening to me? Now I have conditioned myself to think, how is this going to serve me in the future? Like, this sucks. Like, everything about this sucks. Emotionally, it just drains. But I can then get into solution mode and ask myself great questions like, actually step back, remove yourself from the emotion of the situation and just ask, how is this going to serve me in the future? How am I going to come out of this better, stronger, faster, serve more people, right? And here's the trick. It's not really a trick. Success principle, numero, whatever. Stay committed to the process. Some of you want to know the secret to success. Here it is. Stay committed to the process. Consistency wins championships. Consistency wins championships. Are you committed to the process? I oftentimes use Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympic athlete of all time. I can tell you right now, this is documented because it's being recorded, that I want as many gold medals around my neck as Michael Phelps. I think that'd be awesome. Who wouldn't want that? But when you tell me his diet, his exercise routine, the fact that he's in a pool for 16 hours a day, dude, I don't want it that bad. He can have it. That's what makes him great. I don't want it that bad. How many of us and agents that we coach, maybe this is you, say things like, well, I want to earn 6 figures. Like every agent says that. But they bring in with them oftentimes, and I'm not being ugly when I say this, a $40,000 a year mindset, a $40,000 a year work ethic, because that's what once upon a time somebody said, you're going to give me 40 hours a week. In exchange for that, I'm going to tell you how much your time is worth. So we get conditioned. It's your financial thermostat. So I know if somebody goes from that world to a world now, first year in real estate wanting to earn 6 figures, dude, I'm behind it. You know me by now. I will get behind that goal. But now we got to get real. I got to test this person's commitment level. Because after I set the goal and think big and dream big, the only thing that matters now is not think big, it's think consistent. Are you willing to embrace the suck and be committed to the process? That is what it looks like. Success, whatever that means to you, is boring. It's repetitious. It's mundane. It's the same old every day until you can look back and say, holy crap, compound effect is a real thing. Okay? Every day, ask my parents, every day, unless there was like 6 foot of snow on the ground in Illinois, my dad put up this thing in the backyard. It was kind of sloping. There was a creek running through the backyard, but we had 2 big trees. My dad took a clothesline and tied it around one tree over here and the next tree over here. So there was a clothesline in my backyard. And hanging from that clothesline was some sort of, I don't even know what it was, rope, cord, something with a clip on it that had a baseball attached. So this clip up at the top, I've got this baseball that can go back and forth and just slide down the clothesline. So every day I would spend hours, hundreds of swings in my backyard, hitting that ball up and down, back and forth, because there's nothing else to do. All right? Commitment to the process. I didn't know it at the time, but what I was doing is creating muscle memory. I was creating mindset memory. I was establishing what it means to work hard and be committed to something, when at the time there was just nothing else to do because I'm from a town of 700 people. And I'm grateful for that now, okay? The journey matters. Coach Luis Toyens, who's on here today, and I coached a 12U team in Florida together. And we would say, all right, guys, welcome to the first day of practice. And we could theoretically bring a big ass 6 foot tall trophy saying, congratulations. Before the season even began, here you go, guys. You won the championship. Here's your trophy to prove it. Now, think about a group of 11 and 12-year-old boys. There's probably going to be some celebration going on like, yeah, woohoo, we're the best. We won the championship before the season even started. How did that happen? But once you get over that emotional feel-good, that honeymoon phase, if you will, I guarantee there would have been a point in time where the kids, let alone the coaches, said, well, hang on a minute. We didn't have to do anything for this. We didn't have to earn this. We haven't even practiced yet, let alone played one game. That's kind of like no fun. I want to earn it. I don't want to just have things given to me, right? There's no participation trophies in real estate. There's no participation trophies in life. Nobody's going to come save you. So I just want you to step back and appreciate the moment. We're all writing our story. I'm just sharing mine today. It's not always about the destination, the trophy. It absolutely matters with the journey, the blood, sweat, tears, the good times, the bad times, even the games when you struck out 4 times in a row. All that suckiness is what makes it worth it. I would give nothing more to stand on a mound again, holding that baseball in my hand, watching that batter get into the batter's box and say, let's go, big boy. I'm coming after you. Here's my best. If you beat me today, I can live with that because I'm going to give you my best. The journey matters. We're going to win games. We're going to lose games. There's going to be seasons we win. There's going to be seasons we lose. And yet appreciate the journey along the way and learn from it. It's not just about the destination here. All right. Number 4, moving right along, guys. Number 4, defining moment is I got several quick examples. Enduring the sacrifice to enjoy the reward. Kind of like what I was just speaking about, but I want to give it a little different spin. For example, in parentheses, here's a few quick examples. In college, this is college baseball now, we had something called 5x5s. Every single one of us players dreaded 5x5s. Why? Because we get up at 4:30 in the morning to go lift weights. Every morning, 4:30 in the morning, we got to be there. And after you just spent an hour and a half lifting weights, now it's time to go out to the tennis courts in the back of the gym. You go to the tennis courts and you run 25 5x5s for every loss that the team had from the previous year. Every loss from the now, luckily, we were always ranked in the top 5 in the nation, so we didn't have too many losses, but it sucked because what's a 5x5? On a tennis court, down, back, down is 1. We had to run 25 of those for every single loss we had the previous year after lifting weights before going to your 8 o'clock class. It sucked. Every bit of it sucked. Weights, just spoke about it, 4:30 in the morning. That's no fun. I can't tell you how many times my alarm clock went off and I just wanted to just snooze that thing, act sick, whatever. And then I got my teammate, who's a roommate, who says, come on, let's go. And there was times that I had to do that for him. 6-minute mile every year, every player had to run a 6-minute mile. I didn't say 6 minutes in 1 second. It had to come underneath 6 minutes. 5 minutes and 59 seconds, you're good. 6 minutes and 1 second, you got to do it again. Every player had to run the 6-minute mile over and over and over again until they broke 6 minutes. It's a requirement. Got to do it. On top of that, the very first day you come back from Christmas break after going home for the holidays for a couple weeks and being with your family, you come back and you start Hell Week. Entire week. I mean, just think about military boot camp is literally what it was. We calculated every day we would run over 10 miles a day because we're out there in the parking lot doing all these different runs and things like that during Hell Week. And there was guys who had stress fractures by the end of the week. They were out, people puking and having to continue to run anyways. It was Hell Week, let me tell you. And then finally, the most embarrassing of all, my God, we had to do the flex off. This was the worst. Like, I'll do 5x5s, I'll do anything, but I'm a 6'6", tall, gangly dude. And the flex off, every December before going home for Christmas break, we had to get up on a stage in front of all the sorority chicks. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of women. Total embarrassing. We're broken up into weight classes. We lather baby oil all over ourselves so we glisten in the spotlight. And then one by one, we got to go up on stage and flex for 30 seconds, a minute, over and over again. Front, back, legs, the whole deal. Absolutely embarrassing. Most terrifying thing for a lot of us in our life, unless you're just this ripped dude who's like, all right, this is awesome. Well, that wasn't me. And there was guys, I'm not kidding you, I wasn't one of them, but there was guys that were so nervous, they were vomiting in the bathroom as they're lathering up in baby oil. It was bonkers. And that's the flex off. So the whole thing, and I could go on and on, endure the sacrifice to enjoy the reward is kind of what I was just talking about. What did I learn? Man, I learned success is boring, it's unsexy, it's repetitious, it's hard freaking work. And there's no shortcuts. There's no way around it. You got to go through, over, underneath, around, but there is no pulling up short because it's not about you, you see? We all have a team. I had to show up for my teammates. I had to show up for myself. I had to show up to represent my high school. I had to show up to represent the back name, Dixon, to make my family proud. You got to show up, right? All of us right now have other people relying on you to do your work every day, to show up. There is no shortcut. Do you love the game, the real estate game, helping families buy, sell? Maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a broker owner. Do you love the game enough that you're willing to go through the process? I mean, I got to tell you, every part of me hated, and I say hate, I hated lifting weights and doing all these things. But I just knew it was part of the process. I finally had to submit myself to the process. I could spend the next 4 years of my collegiate career bitching and moaning, not looking forward to every day, or I could just accept the fact that it's part of the process. So I earned the right to stand on that pitcher's mound, 6'6", and say, here it comes, big boy. Right? This is lead generation for some of you. This is script practicing. It's the things that you're currently avoiding, or you want your family or coach or whoever to believe that you're doing, and you're really not. You got to embrace the suck. Get over yourself. This is bigger than you. Suck it up, buttercup. You're an adult. You better show up, because there's other people beyond just you that are depending on you. I cannot go home and look my two beautiful daughters, let alone my wife, in the eyes and say, Daddy did everything he could to provide for you today, if that's not true. I'd rather sleep in the trunk of the car or something. I just can't do it. Now, I'm not perfect every day, but that's my standard. If I can't go home, what am I doing sitting right here, right now? Why am I spending this hour with you instead of spending an hour at home watching my kids jump on the trampoline? I'm showing up. When I'm at work, I work. When I'm at home, I'm present at home, or at least I do my best to be. Okay? Do you have a team to surround yourself with when things get hard? Guys, that's the brilliance of what our coach knew he was doing with 5x5s and flex offs and hell weeks and all the things. This is not an individual sport. Nobody succeeds alone. How many times do we have to hear this stuff? So who's your team? Some guys picking up each other, dusting the dirt off their butt, right? That's a teammate. And together, as the acronym goes, together, everyone achieves more. Do you believe that? If you do, then why are you drifting into isolation right now? When's the last time you asked yourself, who am I really surrounding myself with? Are they positive? Do they drain me of energy? What's that looking like? In other words, what's your personal board of directors? Are you avoiding having an accountability partner? Maybe right now you're avoiding having a coach and you're here checking us out. I don't know. But you better have a personal board of directors who you have to run decisions through, who you have to defend things through because they care enough about you. I'm not talking about your best friend necessarily. I'm not talking about your spouse necessarily. I'm talking about that person in your life who doesn't care if they piss you off because they're looking out for you. They're willing to say or ask the questions that need to be said or asked without caring if they hurt your feelings. Because you can never question their integrity or their intentions, even if it's not something you want to hear at the time. Who you're in business with matters. Who are you aligning yourself with? Okay. Continuing on with this one, I have so much I want to say. I said it, nobody succeeds alone. Success leaves clues. There's breadcrumbs out there. Some of you are choosing to take the long road when if you just got over your own ego and called that person or benchmarked that company or looked for other clues of success instead of feeling like you've got to do it all so you get the credit, your path is waiting for you. Success leaves clues, right? Do you accept the preparation for your greatness? Do you know truly what it's going to take, like Michael Phelps knew what it was going to take to be the most decorated Olympic athlete? I'm not sure we'll ever know, but I can certainly study other successful people who have what I want and what I desire, and I can interview them. I can shadow them. I can, study them. So I have a better understanding and a realistic understanding of what that preparation and what the commitment is to earning that 6 figures or whatever it is that you're chasing. Here's a question for you. What are you currently holding on to from the past that is no longer serving you in the present? What are you holding on to right now that you just need to let go? There's something. You're dragging that ball around, that chain. Think about that. All right, let's go to the last one. Hopefully you guys are still with me out there. I know we're close to approaching an hour here, but we'll finish up here in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes, okay? So number 5, defining moment first. Don't be late, and you better touch the line. What do I mean? Let's take the first one. I've referenced it already. Every day, we would have to go to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. So if you're a self-proclaimed not a morning person, that would really, really suck. But we had to be there by 4:30 in the morning. Not 4:31, ladies and gentlemen, 4:30. I'm not kidding. Every team member, even if you redshirted, every person had to be there by 4:30, not a minute late. If we were a minute late, we got sent packing home, go back to your dorm, go back to sleep, do what you need to do, but it wasn't. That's not what you wanted to have happen, because now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when we show up to practice, it was painful. We had to pay for it. There was a distinct difference between winning and losing, showing up, not showing up. You didn't want to jack around with that. Trust me when I say you'd rather be there at 4:30 in the morning and get through your weights in 5x5s, not be told to go home and it'll be all right. That was not the case. Touch the line. I referenced the 5x5s earlier. I will never forget it, man. We were on, I think it was number 23. So mention down, back, down, back, down was 1. We had to do that 25 times for every loss last season. This particular day that we were running them, I think it was 23 we were on. And I even saw it happen, actually. We're running, we're out of breath, we're almost there, we got like 2 more. And I just happened to glance over, and one of the coaches, the assistant coaches, saw it too. There was a teammate who didn't touch the line. And guess what? The rule always was, if you don't touch the line, I don't care where we're at, we start all the way over. You start over. Dude didn't touch the line. Gets called out in front of all his teammates. How you think we're feeling at this point? Are you kidding me? We had to start all the way over at 0 and start them all over again. So what did I learn? You guessed it, standards matter. There is no such thing as a minimum standard, because the standard is the standard. Where in your life are you not touching the line? You pulled up 6 inches short and said, well, it's good enough, because that's the real standard is six inches short, because that's the minimum standard. Guys, screw your excuses. The standard is the standard, period. There is no such thing as a minimum standard. You either touched the line or you didn't. You either showed up at 4:30 on the nose or you didn't. There's no gray area here. It's all a choice. It's all a self-discipline. That's what Coach was teaching us. And now as an adult, I can now appreciate that. Our choices, as I said earlier, affect other people. That one guy, and I'm not saying, I don't think he meant to. It just happened. We're exhausted. He didn't touch the line. Do you think his choice impacted me and my 30 other teammates? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So everything from that point forward, we make sure our foot goes over the line. I go a little bit of extra mile, that 1 extra degree, so it's never under question whether I either touched it or exceeded the line. You with me? Because the standards that we accept of others are the same standards that we accept of ourselves, and vice versa. One of my favorite quotes is right here on the screen. You cannot complain about the things that you tolerate. And we teach people how to treat us. There was times in the locker room, that a teammate, it wasn't ever me, thank God, but there was a teammate who would grab another teammate by the throat and throw him up against the locker. Say, basically, you're not showing up. I'm not going to run extra sprints because you're a lazy ass, or something like that. That's what happens in a locker room. And that's what happens when standards are in place that are set by the leader. We don't allow each other to dog it. Games are won in practice, because why? We play at game speed. We don't just go through the motions. And for you, you don't just go through the motions in role play and script practice. I need you to play at game speed when you're doing script practice, or you're practicing objections in that listing presentation. You better be playing at game speed. Otherwise, you're not doing yourself or anybody else any good. okay? Character, holy moly. It's what we do when no one's looking. Guys, that day, is as insignificant as it may sound. If the guy pulled up 6 inches short of the line, there's a chance nobody ever saw it. And if he did it willingly, he did it intentionally, he would have to live with that secret for the rest of his life. That always weighing on his conscience. I know that's a small example, but you get the idea. Character is what we do when no one is looking. Are you trying to lead generate now just to get a pat on the back and attaboy, attagirl from someone else? Or are you doing it to set appointments so you can help a family, right? And finally, the whole 212 degrees thing, man, I love it. Y'all know what that stands for? I bet some of you do. 212 degrees is the boiling point of water. This is the boiling point of water. 211 degrees is just really, really freaking hot water, but it doesn't boil. 211, that 1 extra degree, in other words, that 1 extra ounce of effort makes all the difference in the world, because as they say, this is a famous reference, boiling water produces steam. Steam is enough to power a locomotive, right? It's that 1 extra notch, that 1 extra degree to go above and beyond the way in which you operate on a daily basis, your habits, your disciplines, that can make all the difference in the world. I definitely learned that through those standards that our coach, had set. Take pride in what you do. Over-deliver is what this is saying. Are you competing? Because if you compete, if whatever you are, if you're a real estate agent, you're a broker owner, you're a coach, it doesn't matter. If you have a competing mindset, think about it now. That means you've constantly got to be paying attention to what other people are doing, because I'm worried about what they're doing and how I can +1 it. Screw that. I don't want you to have a competition mindset. It's great to be competitive, yes. But if that's how I'm basing decisions and how I go about my business, screw that. I want you to dominate. When I dominate, I don't have to look over my shoulder and worry about what other people are doing. It's none of my business. As long as I'm showing up and giving it what I got, things will take care of themselves. Faith over fear. Competition is a form of fear. If you feel like you're competing against all these agents and there's just not enough business for you, that's what I'm talking about. Just go out there and dominate. Don't do it the best that you can do it. Do it the best that can be done. What if that was the standard? Pick one thing. Maybe it's open houses. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can have an open house, but can they do it as well as you can do it? Go dominate open houses, or fill in the blank, whatever that means for you. Okay? I said it, man. Our coach would constantly say this, constantly, that results, winning, in other words, matters. Everything is better. Your food will taste better. He would tell us our women would look better. Everything is better when you win. None of this, you tried hard, participation trophy stuff. Guys, this is life. You're going to get knocked down. We're adults. Okay? We got to provide. We got to put food on the table. We got to pay taxes. There's other people depending on us. There was Chris Hogan. I was on a webinar with Chris Hogan, who's right up there with like Dave Ramsey the other day. He's like, I don't want to be a burden to my children. I want to be a blessing. And what he was referencing is the idea that, well, when's enough enough? You know, you got enough money and blah, 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 blah. He's like, dude, I have an obligation, a moral responsibility to make a lot of money so I don't become a burden. What happens if I don't have money? Now my kids, family, friends, they all got to foot my medical bills and take care of me and all this stuff. I don't want to be a burden. I want to leave something for them. I want to be a blessing. Everything is better when you win. Stop kidding yourself. If you're like, well, yeah, I just want to be comfortable. I'm good. That's fine. If you're good, I'm good. But let's explore that a little bit deeper and see if that's not rooted in something you were told when you were a kid, and it's a cover up because you don't want to be transparent and vulnerable by going for more and being stretched. We just got to get real clear on that first. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want you to do. Okay? Think about this, write it down, copy the questions, whatever you need to do. Just take this away from today. This is your homework assignment. I want you to write down a time in your life when you were successful. I mean, you were at the peak and pinnacle of your game. Don't overthink this. This doesn't have to be business. It can be your sophomore year of high school, like I referenced. When were you the best at something? Write it down. Now, think through, what were the habits that you committed to that led to that success? i.e., were you in the backyard every day hitting a baseball on a freaking clothesline, right? What were the habits? I guarantee you were probably working on your craft every day during this period of your life. What was your mindset like? I know for me in high school, man, I was the bomb. I couldn't go to big town Galesburg and Applebee's without thinking, yep, people recognize this face because they see it in the newspaper all the time. They claim I'm the best baseball player ever to come from the area. I mean, come on, I was young, give me a break here. But like my mindset was of domination. And that's where I lived. And as a result of that, combined with my habits, I was pretty good. And who did I surround myself with? I surrounded myself with other people who demanded excellence, who were willing to get there early and stay late for practice. What about you? When you were at your all-time peak, who were you surrounding yourself with? Now we're going to flip the script. Write down a time in your life when you failed, or you felt that you were at the bottom. You're curled up in that fetal position in the cold bathroom floor. Go there. Allow yourself. When were you at your lowest of lows, in other words? Okay. What were the self-defeating habits that you practiced during that time? I'll bet you they don't look the same as the first one. What was your mindset like? I bet it was full of negative thoughts, self-limiting beliefs. I'll bet you. And who did you surround yourself with? ... Maybe you weren't. Maybe you were just in a state of isolation because you were so embarrassed, so shamed, fearing judgment from other people. But maybe you were also running around with a really not so good crowd. They were doing drugs, they were all cheating and whatever. I don't know. Whatever you might have written down. But allow yourself to go there and be honest. Nobody's looking over your shoulder at your paper. Now, the final question is, based on those two different circumstances and set of answers, which series most closely resembles how you're showing up right now? Are you demonstrating the self-defeating, self-sabotaging habits? Or are you practicing the good ones that are constructive? What's your mindset like? Is it full of all this noise and self-talk? Or are you a champion? You're on top of the world. And who are you surrounding yourself with? Especially in a time of social distancing, which is really physical distancing, by the way. Have you allowed yourself to drift into isolation? Just explore that. So the last thing I'll say, here's my information, if anybody needs anything, is I'm going to actually stop sharing. I'll give you a second if you need to. But the last thing I want to share is what my coach used to tell us. Every game, for the 4 or 5 really, because I redshirted from my injury, 5 years that I was there. Every game before the players hit the field, he would have us put our hands in a circle, and it's the 1, 2, 3 countdown, and he would say, stick together and play like champions. Coach Dusty Rhodes, those were always the 2 things that he said before we hit the field, before every single game when we're huddled up. Stick together, play like champions. I'll never forget it, right? So for you, how are you showing up, guys? These are the top 5 success principles that I have now reflected and extracted from baseball, a sport, a game, that actually at the time, unknowingly, were very impactful life, success, business principles that I felt compelled to share with you guys today, and I hope that's all right. And I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll see if there's any chat